Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tales from the Infrared. I am your host, Christian Shesso, and joining me, as always, is Jim Kelvarn. How's it going, Jim?
I'm having a blast. It's going to be a really good show today.
Rachel Edwards, our resident honey badger. How's it going, Rachel?
Hey, friendship is magic, motherfucker.
Nefanor, are you with us? Nefanor. Of course, that alien bastard had to go away. And of course, running the back room as always is James Huff, making sure everything is smoothly. How's it going, James?
It's going just fine, guys. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, who rolled the critical miss? Who rolled the one? Who's reading our topics today?
That would be Nefanor since he's not speaking.
Well, if he's not speaking, that's, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna read it. Our first topic: how Gamergate radicals seized Sci-Fi's most prestigious awards. The morons at Gawker Media talk more crap about Gamergate and blame the failure of social justice warrior representation on us. And do they ever go overboard trying to sell this bullshit? From the article, and I quote, "The toxic, conservative, anti-woman movement that briefly claimed to be about reforming video games journalism has allied with a group of neo-reactionary authors in an effort to ensure sci-fi's future looks more like its less diverse past." End quote. Hey, Gawker, you might want to pull your head out of your ass. You might figure out you're actually wrong. Also, take an English class. Second topic, hijacking the Hugo Awards won't stifle diversity in science fiction. And Gawker isn't the only group to blame Gamergate for this. In fact, if you look, they explicitly blame Gamergate in several points of the article, though the sources link to a bunch of SJW slander. It is, however, nice to see the comments going back and forth and watching people point out how hypocritical a lot of the people who support the SJW narrative are. Topic number 3. The X-Files revival officially ordered at Fox. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson back for 6 new episodes. Why only 6? I'm not exactly sure. The X-Files is returning to Fox, and the original stars are coming back to start it off. Fox has ordered 6 new episodes that they hope will reignite the franchise. Moving on, Gamergate and the continued backlash against outrage culture. The battle between Gamergaters and social justice warriors is stifling reasoned discussion. Thus, the subtitle states on the article. And while the article tried to be fair at the beginning, it wanders off into the land of white knighting for Sarkeesian. I would almost call this a good article until that point. Why Gamergate and Vivian James appear in the opening cinematic for Afterlife Empire. The Fine Young Capitalist and Autobotica have finally launched Afterlife Empire on Steam Greenlight. I believe Afterlife Empire was the one I voted for, so that's awesome. I'm going to have to check that out. This is the game that was the one that put up on the Indiegogo campaign and was almost ruined by Literally Who. Nice to see the game made it, but even better is seeing the character of Vivian James being made into a playable character. That is awesome. My Little Pony to children, Marxism is not magic. The only episode of My Little Pony that I have been interested in, and it was worth the agony of dealing with the show. Like the author, most of us are not fans of the show, but this 2-episode season premiere might change our minds. The creator of My Little Pony, or the creators of My Little Pony, have taken a stand against cultural Marxism by showing children that diversity is not only acceptable but desired. The show is available to watch at the YouTube link provided. And this is exciting news for me, Game of Thrones star to guest in Doctor Who. Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark in Game of Thrones, is set to appear on Doctor Who this season. While there are very few details provided in the article about the appearance, it's kind of cool to see the Game of Thrones star make an appearance on such a beloved show. We will certainly be happy to check it out. And may I just add, can she be the replacement for Clara? Can Maisie Williams play the companion? Please. Please.
Christian, as much as I would love to agree with you on that, I doubt she's going to give up the part of Arya Stark for the Doctor's companion.
She doesn't have to. All this, Walking Dead, and maybe a few surprise topics this week on Tales from the Infrared. All right, where are we starting?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Anything but the ponies.
Oh, come on! I can handle the ponies. I can also give some information on sad puppies and things like that, because we did talk to somebody who was involved in this on Honey Badger Radio. But yeah.
You know, why don't we just go ahead and get the ponies out of the way? So, Jim, you did the research on this. What's going on? What's going on in the episode?
Well, to be honest, it literally is the 6 main characters going into a town where everyone is equal. In fact, the ponies' cutie marks are all equal signs. And they give stuff like no pony left behind. Ego is what creates problems, and all kinds of other bullshit that you hear from. Individuality creates problems. Individuality creates conflict and everything like that. And you listen to this, and you draw the parallels with everything that the social justice warriors say all the fucking time, and you can see that the creators of My Little Pony have created a 2-episode premiere that just smashes the fuck out of cultural Marxism. Not to mention, the leader of this town, I forgot the name already, is the only pony that... Is the only
Starlight
pony...
Shimmer?
Yeah, I think it's Starlight Shimmer. She is the only pony in the town that actually still has her cutie mark and her individuality. And you can tell just by the way she acts that she is complete cunt. I mean, she is like, fuck you, that I'm doing right, I lied to you for a reason, and I need to be the one in charge, fuck you. It's like, once you actually watch the episode, you just start laughing.
I might have to check it out. Despite I'm not a ponies fan. I know I have a 3-year-old niece. She enjoys watching the show. I'm not really a fan of the show. I don't quite understand like bronies or adults who watch like My Little Pony. I don't understand them. Although I'm willing to say, okay, well, if you like it, you like it. I don't quite get it. I might have to check out this 2-part episode. But I mean, really, they take on cultural Marxism as a topic.
Yeah, the thing about it is that they don't actually call it cultural Marxism. Basically, what happens is, as the first, and this is kind of huge because it was the entrance into this season, and that's massive. Usually, what they do is the way that the structure of the show usually goes is they start off with a bang and they end with a bang, and so this was huge. Basically, the way the story has changed is usually what they do is they'll have something plotty that happens at the beginning, and then there's a couple of episodes in between where just silly stuff happens, sort of slice of life, and then towards the end there's but they have little bits of plot that get shoved in the middle. And this right here started out with something you feel is probably going to be carried out throughout the entire next season, as in there's going to be one-shot episodes where they go to other parts of Equestria and handle problems that are coming about in different villages, and this is very much social commentary. So the first town they go into is a town like this where they've given up their individuality, and because they believe it will bring peace, and it takes away all of their and that's the thing. Their cutie marks are supposed to be the embodiment of their individual talents, who they are, and so they've given up who they are to try and live in this commune. And there's a propaganda that's being blared in the morning and night and things like that. It's it's some really creepy shit. And that's one of the things I like about the show, is that they do have that adult stuff that gets chosen.
Well, this isn't the first time that the creator, Lauren Faust, has actually done something like this. If we look back, we have in Powerpuff Girls, we have the first one where they had the feminist supervillain who they smacked down, and then they had the one where Mojo Jojo was going around, "Oh, I'm oppressed." So this isn't the first time they've taken a pot shot at these people, and it's good to see it. It's in a very popular medium this time.
Well, I'm gonna sit here and point something out. I despise this show. I am always giving Rachel shit about her love of these ponies. I really can't stand it. I really can't stand most of the characters. They annoy the fuck out of me. The only exception to that is Rainbow Dash. She's the only one that doesn't annoy me. But this episode I actually enjoyed to the point where I would recommend it to other people. That should tell you something.
There we go.
Well, like I said, I might have to make an exception for these two.
And if you want to watch it, it's
two-part episode.
It's the two-parter starting this season, so it should be very easy to find. But yeah, and that's really it's.
The link provided, the YouTube link provided, has the full episode.
Yep.
Awesome.
So,
I'll have to check that out
I'm
after
actually in the
the
middle
show.
of watching it right now.
Well, turn it off. You have Tales from the Infrared to do.
Yeah,
did.
focus.
Focus, motherfucker.
Focus.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess there's really nothing more we could really say on that.
Except
check
I would
out
like
the
to summon
episode.
something. I want to summon
from-
a dean.
Yeah. And the only thing I have to say about this is Pinkie Pie is best pony, motherfuckers. You know it to be true.
Okay. Moving on. Who wants to talk about the X-Files?
Woo!
Hold on. Everybody get over here and click the portal so we can summon Dean.
I don't want to click the portal, damn it.
Summoning Dean.
Click the damn portal so we can summon Dean.
Make it
I'm
like
sorry,
a
I'm
high.
out of
Make it
soul
like a
shards.
hidey-ho.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna try and get Dean in here.
Unfortunately, I'm out of soul shards, so you're gonna have to bring some monsters here so I can drain them.
Why don't we just chant? Make like a high, make like a ho, make like a high.
I don't think that works.
You mean the hey, you
How
mean
about
that
this?
first topic wasn't good enough to give you a soul shard?
Actually, I know what'll do it. I hear there's zombies in here.
Well,
Zombies
are
said
dead.
Zombies.
I went ahead and I sent Dean an invite to this hangout, so he should be coming
See,
in.
I told
There we go. We have a
No, we
had a
don't.
Dean. He just left.
No, it wasn't a Dean. I can see from the face. Dean does not have that furry of a face.
Not
I think
anymore.
I think he was on his son's account or something. Anyways, yeah, X-Files. 6 new episodes. Why only 6?
Teaser to see if it actually
well-
works.
Well, of
Well, not
course
only
it's
that.
gonna work. It's the fucking X-Files.
Yes, but times are different since it originally came out. X-Files may not fly in this social justice world.
Well, it was probably the most popular, I would say, hard sci-fi television show
Yeah.
ever. Like the most popular. And it was hard sci-fi because it wasn't like, oh, futuristic shit or fantasy. It wasn't a whole lot of Deus Ex Machina. It was like, hey, this could possibly happen. I mean,
And of course, it talked about my people probing and impregnating Scully.
We have a dean. We officially have a dean. Dean, say something. Are you here?
I am here. You may begin now.
Well, we began 15 minutes ago, so.
You bastards! You bastards! All right. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm late.
By
But
the
here,
way, where's our $10 each?
in the mail. Just watch that mailbox.
We're talking about the X-Files revival. They got David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson to come back for 6 new episodes. And I'm confused as to why it's only 6. It should be like 12. It's like if Joss Whedon would have come back with Firefly and say, "Oh,
Actually,
I'm only going to do."
that's why it's Fox. They're not sure if they want us to do screw it up again.
Well, it was kind of well known that the two main actors really did not get along very well on set of the original X-Files. So they're probably only doing 6 episodes just to, see how that chemistry works again.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that David Duchovny. I'm betting you anything they're doing it for the cash. David Duchovny and I don't know what the actress's name was.
Gillian
I'm betting
Anderson.
Gillian Anderson. That's right. I'm betting they're doing it mostly for the cash. It's like they see an opportunity. When did X-Files go off the air? Almost
13
20
years
years
ago.
13 years ago. Okay, 13 years ago. Yeah, this is just they expected to get high ratings and to make some cash and probably to walk away. Because I know David Duchovny's been acting. I don't know about Julie Anderson, but he's been.
Yeah,
acting.
I was going to say. I was going to
Yes.
say, like, I haven't heard of Gillian Anderson doing anything after X-Files. I kind of heard about a couple of, like, small TV projects, but Duchovny went on to do Californication, which was a huge hit on, I think it was Showcase, but it was a huge hit.
Showtime.
Or Showtime, yeah. It was a huge hit, and so I might understand Gillian needing the cash. I don't understand Duchovny because what he went on to do was actually very successful.
If you want if you want my theory, I can already tell you. David Duchovny did Californication, which I stopped watching at some point, but it was because it was nothing but drinking and sex, literally.
Which is probably why it was so popular with the mainstream.
David Duchovny admitted he did that particular show. He enjoyed that particular show because he's a sex addict and has sex with lots and lots of people and enjoys partying. And so, I don't know. He may need the cash. He may have burned through all his Californication money because he's a hedonist. Just a guess, but admitted it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's why The Simpsons had such a good time lampooning him, where in their episode where he shows his ID and it shows him laying down looking sexy.
It's all he does in that stupid show, Californication, is screw random women. That's what he does.
But what I want to know, are we going to see a return of the smoking man?
I don't think so. Isn't he?
I don't know. Didn't give the information. It was just this is coming back. This is how many episodes they're doing, and pretty much all I could figure out was they're doing it to try and reignite the franchise, most likely. And I'm guessing if Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny don't work out, one or both of them will leave off, and they'll, like the last episode, if they decide to renew for another season, they'll probably do it like a passing the torch to the new generation.
Rachel, you said Gillian Anderson has been working?
I think so. I think they said she was
She's
working
done
on
a lot of
something
TV
now.
stuff. I just checked her
I
IMDb.
don't know. Yeah, the thing about it is I think I'd heard something, but it's not something I watch. So I don't know. The thing about it is I've actually been rewatching the X-Files, and I wonder if they'll be able to capture the same magic that they did back then. But there is a lot of interesting things that will come from, it has been something like 13 years now, and a lot has happened. A lot has changed in the FBI and just the government in general. 9/11 happened. There's a whole bunch of shit that we can really play on with the up insecurity, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. It could be interesting. They could have some kind of explanation, like extraterrestrial explanation for what happened, like for the up insecurity.
Hey, we had nothing to do with that.
Who knows? Like, there's all kinds of stuff they can play on. Oh, I miss that show so much. I need it back in my life.
Am I the only one here who really does not give two fucks about the X-Files coming back?
Yeah, you probably are.
Yes. Yes.
No,
Don't
I'm
worry,
actually,
I have something special for you, Jim.
well, actually, I'm going to have to say that I'm kind of in solidarity with Jim. I know my fellow nerds will hate me, but I could never get into the X-Files. I just could never get into it. So,
I got something special for you, too.
well, no disrespect to the fans or anything. It's just not for me.
Well, don't worry.
Well,
What
no,
have
I mean, I don't have any disrespect for the fans. Okay, here's my issue with it. It ended in a pretty good place. It had the movie. I thought it did well for its time, but kind of like with other shows, when they keep renewing it for season after season after fucking season, long after it's been dead and buried and should have ended, why are they bringing it back? It just makes no sense to me to try and bring something back that just had a really good stopping point.
Well, that leads us into a bonus topic.
Uh-oh.
Da, 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 da.
I'm going to have
Hey,
to shotgun.
Nephenor, that's breaking news, not
It's
That's
both.
bonus topic.
It's both.
No, bonus music needs to be like da 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 da.
But speaking of Fox, Fox is working on a Rocky Horror Picture Show television remake to coincide with the cult film's 40th anniversary.
Why?
The 2-hour television event is tentatively titled the Rocky Horror Picture Show Event and would readapt the classic film's score and script with a drastically different visual style.
Fail.
Okay,
Epic
now
fail.
let me just say here, I'm surprised Fox is taking this up, because given the attitudes at Fox News, I'm sure they're going to end every single episode with like a stake burning or a crucifixion of some sort, just because Fox
not gonna
seems
be
to be like
episodes,
ultra
it's just
conservative.
It's just like a TV movie, basically.
Oh, straight to TV. Well, they might still end that with a crucifixion or a stake burning or something, because it's transvestites are ungodly apparently.
The Fox, there's a frequent mistake that Fox News, which is a specific news station owned by Fox, which does run conservative, at least in its commentary, if not always its reporting, but certainly its commentary. But it is managed and, I mean, the same ownership. It's corporate ownership, right? It's managed and run completely separately from the television. Fox TV, which does TV shows. There's no overlap there. There's none. So I mean, Fox has done all kinds of shows. I mean, Fox does fucking Family Guy, for God's sake.
And hosted Cosmos.
Which pisses everybody the fuck off. I mean, there's literally nobody Family Guy won't offend sooner or later, right? I'm a huge fan, and they even pissed me off once. But no, it's not that surprising to me. I just don't know why. And I get right of ancient elder geek here. I used to go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show regularly. I mean, really regularly when it was a thing.
Saturdays at midnight.
Absolutely, it was so damn much fun. Back in the early '80s, I started going to see it.
Jumping up into the theater aisles and doing the time warp.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah, I've been there.
Guys. It's astounding.
But my issue with it is something Nephenor said.
Time is fleeting.
They're doing it in a
That
drastically
is
different visual style.
I don't know what the purpose of this is. I guess I'm curious enough that I will be required to watch it. Offhand, it just sounds like a clusterfuck because the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show was a cult classic that, by the very definition of what it is fringe. And that's when you get a hit that's fringe like that, it's like capturing lightning in a bottle. You usually can't do that twice. Because if you really analyze the Rocky Horror Picture Show and its script and its plot, it's really kind of shallow and hokey and dumb and contrived.
It's very random as well.
But
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
worse is Tim
randomness.
Curry. Tim Curry makes this whole shit work.
Yeah,
really,
he does.
just
Yeah,
I'm sorry, nobody's
it was-
going to outdrag
it
him.
it was
No.
Tim Curry's acting, that his just outlandish acting style for that movie. And I'm not saying that Tim Curry is just an outlandish actor overall. I'm saying for that particular film, his acting was just so outlandish, it just made all of the silliness that happened in the movie work.
Right, and there's no way he's coming back for this. He'd be too old anyway.
Well, I think
Yeah.
he said something. I think it was in the green room with Pete something or another. It was like it's a show that they do. It's like a gathering of comedians and they talk about certain issues. And Tim Curry said he actually wanted to pursue politics, British politics. So I'm not entirely like, if they could get him for it, I doubt they will, because I think he might be a little too busy. Or who knows, he might have changed his mind and decided he's not going to go into British politics anymore. But I know he mentioned something about that, so he might be
sounds actually
too
kinda
busy.
Cool.
Dude, he's 68
Christian.
years old. He's 68 years old.
Christian.
He's not going to be in this. Sorry,
I was
go.
Nobody
saying,
can
I was saying
outdrank
it'd be
him,
cool
ever.
It'd be cool if he was in politics. Could you imagine Jim Carrey's the fucking prime minister? Thinking about that shit is interesting.
Okay, if I may jump in here for a moment. Christian mentioned that Rocky Horror Picture Show was like lightning in a bottle. You can't redo it. Well, they actually
was
tried
Dean,
with a
not
movie
me.
called Shock Therapy. Oh,
Yep. They
Either
did-
one of you.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep. Shock
No.
treatment. Yep, shock treatment, and it
That's
didn't
right.
work. It wasn't worth it. So I don't know. This strikes me as another case, and maybe this will put the nail in the coffin. This strikes me as another case. I'm going to call it, this is exactly what the X-Files return is. It's a way for the network to make some quick cash because they know a bunch of nerds will come and watch it, but it will not have legs.
Honestly, though, if Fox is really desperate for cash and they really, really want to make a lot of quick cash, they don't have to look at the X-Files. They just have to fucking bring Firefly back. Bring back Firefly.
No
We
kidding,
want
right?
Serenity.
Right. As big a check as you have to Joss Whedon and just bring that shit back.
yeah, he's an asshole, but
You know,
Okay,
this
I
is the
would
funny
love
part.
to see Firefly come back. Go ahead, Nefenor. I'll come back in after you.
Okay, this is the funny part. We have the social justice warriors standing behind Joss Whedon going, yes, we love Joss Whedon because he's progressive. And here you have us, the nerds that he's been shaming, saying, you know what, we like his work. We are giving him more respect than they give Orson Scott Card because they don't like his politics.
No
Well, here's
lie.
the thing. Here's the difference, though. We are actually capable of analyzing a creator based on their work and separating their work from their politics. I don't agree with his politics. In fact, you could almost say I loathe Joss Whedon's politics, but his work, like I liked Angel. Buffy wasn't too bad. I wasn't really that big of a Buffy fan. I fucking love Firefly and the movie Serenity. I fucking love Firefly. I love his work. Don't agree with his politics. And I'm
Yeah,
able to
same thing with
separate
Orson
that.
Scott Card. I hate his politics, but I love his work.
That's kind of how I feel too. I think Card is a little nutty in his politics. Not that I disagree with all of it, because it's impossible to disagree with everybody, but you make a really good point. I don't agree with Card's politics, so what? He is actually a brilliant writer and very visionary in a lot of ways. So why shit on him because he had an opinion you didn't like? Let's destroy his career? I mean, we're talking about Orson Scott Card here, but yeah, there is this double standard in the politics of the whole thing, because I remember when Orson Scott Card's movie Ender's Game came out. Now, I didn't go see it, but only because I didn't expect it to be a very good game, a very good movie, right? I saw Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I read it. It's a classic book, very much a product of his time. I didn't think it would make a good movie. And by all reports, it didn't. But I remember all the people shitting on the movie before it came out because they didn't like Orson Scott Card's politics. And that's just wrong.
And then the movie turned out to be fucking brilliant.
Did it?
Well, here's
You're the only one I know
here's
who
something
said
I
that.
want to.
It did a
Here's
great
something
job,
I wanna
but
question.
it fell short on a couple areas.
Okay, here's something I want to question on Ender's Game. You know, Christian's saying it was a good movie. Dean, you're saying it probably wasn't. I want to posit a question. If they hadn't been trashing it before it came out, would it have done better?
That's hard
I
to
think
say, isn't it?
historically, I think we could say it probably would have, because we see so many projects nowadays that the hype train or the hate train leading up to its release does have an effect on how it performs. I have seen video games, movies that just have this gigantic hype train, and when they come out and turn out to be crap, it doesn't matter because it still does, 500 million at the box office on first weekend. And then I see other movies that are really, really good, but because there was a hate train associated with it, it almost flunks on the first weekend in the box office. Or a game that just doesn't sell well, even though it turns out to be really good, or a game that sells really, really well due to a hype train, and it sells amazingly, but it turns out to be a shit game.
How often does that happen? I don't know. I am looking it up right now, and no offense to anybody who liked the movie. I didn't see it because I didn't think it would be a good movie. We are talking about Ender's Game. And it looks like the critical and commercial response to it was very limited. Critics were divided, audiences. It did make its money back, but that's about all it did. But I remember asking some people at the time, and then the same question came up. Like, I like the... sorry if I'm dominating too much. Just speak up, guys. I find it interesting the way the culture is evolving, because this even ties into somewhat, and I know this is getting off kilter, but the Duck Dynasty thing that was huge last year, right? One of the Duck Dynasty stars said something stupid about blacks or gay people. I forget which, because he
Gay people.
Right, and he nearly lost his job. And I'm like, I'm going to these even friends of mine, and I'm like, okay, you're all for firing him, right? You're all for him losing his job and being forevermore persecuted, basically, marginalized, shamed. What if they'd wanted to fire him because he was pro-gay marriage? And not a single one of them would even answer the question.
There's an
that
important
was what was
point.
really telling to me.
There's an important point that I need to make here, though. He did not say any of this on camera on the show. This was said in an off-the-show, I think it was like an interview or something he did. It was completely, it had nothing to do with the show. He was just doing an interview or something, and he said because his family is predominantly Southern Baptist Christian, that
and he's like in his 80s,
their religious
70s.
views, 70s and 80s. It's his religion that sort of prevents him from accepting homosexuality as sort of a homosexuality as something that's not sin. According to his religion, homosexuality is a sin, and it's something he said off the show. It had nothing to do with the show. And so they wanted him fired for something that had nothing to do with his work.
And that was the true in the case of Orson Scott Card with Ender's Game. He'd said some stuff off screen, had some very strong opinions, but it was all off screen, had nothing to do with the book, and they wanted that movie buried for his having
not
an
only
opinion.
those two. I mean, look at Kaylee Coco and all the other females who say, I'm not a feminist, and all the feminists get up in arms and get pissed off at these people. This is the hypocrisy. And this is why I have such a huge problem with them.
There's, that's on that particular score, it's going to change. The number of women and men willing to self-identify as feminists has been dropping year over year after year. They're down to something like 18% of the population now, and still in free fall. Maybe they'd figure? Huh?
In fact, more people believe aliens have visited Earth than believe in feminism.
Well, because listen and believe. Right?
21% of people believe aliens have visited Earth. If only 18% believe in feminism, I think that means that I'm more true than they are.
Here's another question for you.
Into something that I actually want to mention. Apparently, and I just heard about this a day or two ago, NASA confirmed.
Breaking news?
It's not breaking news because I don't really have like a link for it or anything like that. Just I heard about that NASA confirmed that there is life on other planets.
Well,
and they did so using
already knew that.
the probability argument and just using reason. They have no hard evidence for it, but I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that I've been saying for years. If life can happen here on Earth when given enough space, enough planets, and enough diversity of planets, and all the different ways that a being could be alive, life is inevitable, given enough time and space, and yeah, diversity of planets and all that. It's inevitable. So of course there's life on other planets. We just don't know how far the nearest planet with life is. There could be life on Jupiter's moon Titan, for all we know. Underneath the ice.
Well, the monoliths did put it there.
We're way off track now. How do we get back on track?
How do we get back on track? Well, we were talking about
X-Files.
Rocky Horror, and then it kind of snowballed into something else.
So, are we all agreed the
Bring it back.
We all agreed that the Rocky Horror thing is probably going to suck.
Agreed.
I think they try and make it good, but I think they're going to miss what fundamentally made the film good. I think they're just going to miss out on what fundamentally made the film good, and I think that is going to make it suffer in the long run.
And who is actually excited about the X-Files reboot?
I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it.
It's not a reboot, sorry. Not a reboot, sorry.
Tentatively optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing. And if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to pretend that the following seasons didn't happen.
That's not a bad idea. One day, we'll have to do a show on lists of movies we wish didn't exist and act like they don't.
I've got a long list for that one.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is Superman Returns.
Never happened. I didn't see it.
Blues Brothers 2000. Just so you know, Blues Brothers 2000 never happened.
God,
that movie does not exist.
I'm sorry?
What movie?
Are they making a new movie called Blues Brothers 2000?
No, they did.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
The movie does not exist, and nobody should pretend that it does.
Are they gonna get Jim Belushi to step in?
They did. No, that would never happen. That would never happen, and we're going to stand by the fact that it would never happen.
I try to pretend that the Twilight franchise never happened, but.
You know what? I will give a tentative confession. I have seen the first Twilight movie in its entirety. Fortunately for me, I had.
You're still alive?
Well, fortunately, I had Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and the rest of the Riff Tracks crew to get me through it.
Yeah,
nobody knows what Riff Tracks
I wasn't
is.
so lucky.
No, I watch Riff Tracks, dude. Like, but the thing about it is that the rest of the movies were so bad. Okay. Twilight is like the first film is barely passable, and then the others just go down this chasm of terribleness.
Okay, first off, the whole Twilight series is nothing more than a preteen female adolescent fantasy. That's number one. And Dean, I wasn't lucky enough to have Riff Tracks. I was actually in a far worse situation. I was sitting next to my ex-girlfriend at the time.
Your ex-girlfriend. So you took a hit for an ex-girlfriend. An ex-girlfriend.
Shoot me now.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure we can even talk to you anymore.
Head or chest?
I'm so sorry, Jim.
Between the eyes.
I'm sorry, Jim. That must have been horrible.
You have no idea.
I feel like as a geek.
Hear that? He wants it in the face, Rachel.
You hear that? We're actually sitting here going, we welcome more women in geek circles, unless you're a Twilight fan, in which case, get the fuck out.
No,
Twilight
actually,
fans are not geek fans.
I'm not a Twilight fan. I'm not a Twilight fan. I actually watched it with Riff Tracks, and that was the reason why I decided to watch it, because there was Riff Tracks. And I thought this was going to be great. But the thing about it is that Riff Tracks could not save any part of this franchise. Not even close. Same thing with what's that fucked up movie where John Travolta's an alien and was written by
oh my god,
Battlefield Earth.
That is one
Yeah,
of my
that
favorite
one. Oh,
movies
Doesn't
of all
exist.
time. I love that movie. I love that movie, and I can watch that
dead
movie.
to
We're
me,
talking about
Jane.
Battlefield. I love every minute about that
That was
movie.
so bad. It was.
There should be no question that Battlefield Earth may be one of the worst movies made in the entire history of movie making. Don't
Actually,
get me wrong.
according to Space Channel here in Canada, it is, because it was voted the worst movie.
Well, and according to them, I'll hold out for things like Manos, The Hands of Fate, and a few others, but that is a truly
And Troll
wretched
2?
movie. And that movie is so bad, I can watch it without riff tracks and laugh all the way through it because it's so bad. I can be
Yes,
my
but
own riff tracks and watch Battlefield Earth and be rolling.
I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
How to get burned? How to get burned?
While you were still learning how to spell your name,
I love that fucking movie. I can watch it with or without riff tracks. Every minute of it is bad. Not 30 seconds go by without something stupid happening. It's wonderful. It's a work of art. You can make shit of art anyway. But anyway.
I mean, it's like Dumb and Dumber in Sci-Fi?
Yes, it's so bad. I love that movie, but it's a horrible movie. Now we're talking about Hot Twilight, and we're off topic again. How do we do that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Well, Twilight does
okay.
that.
Damn it, Rachel.
It's okay. We can get back on to
Actually,
the sad
big
puppies.
shout-
Actually, we can
Big
get this
shout out,
guy
though.
immediately. We can hijack it right back to the Hugo Awards.
Good idea, but before we do, I am going to make a shout out. If anybody hasn't checked out Riff Tracks, go to rifftrax.com and go have some fun watching bad movies. Really, it's worth it.
Yes.
Rifftracks.com.
Well, Riff Tracks-
They're basically the sequel to Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I was just about to mention that, and Mystery Science Theater 3000 was one of my all-time favorite things.
Me too. So apparently
on to the Hugo
Awards have been hijacked. Now this is a fascinating story to me. Tell me about it, somebody.
Oh,
Rachel
okay.
seems to know.
Yeah, I know a bit about this. The situation has been, and this is something that has been mentioned by a lot of different writers, that basically if you're not far left enough in your politics and you're a sci-fi writer, you may be blacklisted and people may disagree with you. And the thing about it is you don't even have to be a conservative or be the typical sort of person that they would kick out. You just have to move away from the narrative, or you have to piss them off in some way. And so what happened was you had this group. These groups start to form like the sad puppies and the rabid puppies, and what they decided to do was they decided to give people an alternative, because what had happened was these cliquey far left groups within, I think it was, I'm trying to remember what the name of the organization for sci-fi writers was, but anyway, within that group, what they decided to do was they would put out a list of writers they liked every year and said, okay, if you like these people, pick it. And so the Sad Puppies did the exact same thing with writers that they felt had been overlooked but had written some good works. And so what had happened this year was, and they've been doing this, I think, for about 3 years now, but this year they dominated completely, probably due with an influx of Gamergate also getting involved, but you had a bunch of other folks getting involved who had just, they were done with the bullshit going on in that group, in these cliques. And that's what's happened this year, is that they used their own method against them, and now people are suddenly shitting a brick over it. See, it's okay when we do it, but when you do it, you're being reactionaries or whatever.
Neo-reactionaries.
Yeah.
This may actually be the best word of all to use on these people, the neo-reactionaries. I read the Gawker piece, and that we have linked in the show notes. And actually, I got about a third into the Gawker piece, and I had to stop reading because I'm like, the stupid literally is flying at me every paragraph, right? In fact, it felt like the stupid just kept intensifying as I read, and I couldn't take it anymore, right? Because it was starting to burn.
Mm-hmm.
So I got about a third of the way into that Gawker piece, and I realized I'm reading a Gawker piece. What's the actual truth here? Because Gawker, they just lie and make shit up constantly. And I don't know anything about this author. I'm sure she'd make a big deal out of the fact that I don't know anything about her because she's black and female, and therefore that must be why I don't know who she is. No, sweetie, there's plenty of people of color and females whose work I'm a huge fan of, and I'll give you a list of both if you want. But what really happened here? The assertion of the puppies is basically that politically correct people have hijacked the Hugos, and they're just trying to take it back.
Basically, what the sad puppies seem to want is a tolerance for differences in opinion among authors, that you say, you know, I don't care about your politics, I care about what you write and what you bring to the table.
This seems fair to me.
Politics.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Davis Arini made a video, and let me just be really clear. There's a lot of things I disagree with Davis Arini on. I mean, a lot. I could make a really long list, but he made a very good, but he's usually thought-provoking. Sometimes he's stupid, sometimes he's thought-provoking, and that's what he'd say about me. Davis Arini made a video that I agreed with 100%, which he said that real science fiction, he also said this about religion, but whatever, real science fiction should challenge you and disturb you and expose you to new thoughts and new ideas you haven't heard before or hadn't considered before. And he's right. And you can't do that if you allow a single political narrative to rule the whole thing, right? I mean, this is like saying you can have Christian science fiction, for example, but you can't make everybody make Christian science fiction. And, you know, there is such a thing. C.S. Lewis wrote some of it. You might say that about some of Orson Scott Card's work, although he's Mormon. But it's like, it sounds like not the sad puppies, but their opposition just wants to bury every voice that isn't in tune with theirs. That's what it sounds like. And that the sad puppies, rabid puppies, or whatever they're calling themselves, is just an effort to say, hey, we're still here and we're not going away.
Well, here's one thing I'm going to point out, and I think that's the actual underlying thing among Gamergate, if you want to call it Comicgate, and all these other geek fandoms that are getting attacked by social justice warriors.
Hashtag don't change the cover.
Yeah, don't change the cover. We don't care about your personal politics. We don't care what offends you. We want to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And I think every geek will get behind that statement, because that's it. It's a pastime, it's an enjoyment, it's what we love to do. We want to enjoy ourselves.
Well, but I'm going to push back at you a little bit there, Jim.
Go for it.
Yes, we do. Although one of the reasons I got interested, and I'm going to push back because this was also in this woman in Gawker, this Gawker idiot, and I'm going to call her an idiot because she is one. She's a cloistered,
I agree with you.
Sheltered, bigoted idiot. She's all those things. But
and I still agree with you.
A lot of enjoyment I used to get out of science fiction, and I started out reading books because there was very little good science fiction television and movies, and there were no video games when I was a kid. The good ones, they might even contain challenging political ideas and political ideas you didn't like. And you know what? You would get together with a bunch of your geek friends and you would argue about those ideas.
And that was the fun part about it.
Yeah, yeah. Like one of my favorite novels of all time, science fiction novels of all time, is Starship Troopers. And the first time I read that book, I was pissed and offended and wanted to throw it away and wanted to go yell at Robert Heinlein for some of the ideas that were in that book. But then I realized that's what makes it such a good book. Because it's just got idea after idea after idea after idea, and you're not required to agree with every idea there. The hope is you're going to discuss those ideas. So sometimes it is challenging and interesting and makes you think. And these people seem not to want to make you not to be
What are you saying, Dean? What are you saying, Dean? Are you saying we should allow all ideas in an idea marketplace to go out and compete on the same level as other ideas, and those that have merit will live on, and those that don't will die out? What fucking heresy are you speaking, man?
I am a rebel.
Hey, if that's what he's saying, I'm 100% in agreement with that. Because as far as I'm concerned, good ideas will rise to the top, bad ideas will flounder and fail. Kind of like, I don't know, solar roadways.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, solar roadways.
So these people, they want to. They're apparently, I understand that. See, I used to read all the Hugo winners religiously, and I stopped doing that some years ago. But it's like these people want the extermination of ideas they don't like.
Yeah.
They just want the outright extermination. I heard that the Hugo winner
It's because
a year or two ago.
Fascist.
Yeah. The Hugo winner a couple of years ago was given all kinds of awards for its raising public awareness of global warming and racial and queer issues. And I'm like, dude, I was reading science fiction 30 years ago. Every one of the ideas you're talking about now was explored in one way or another. Nothing you're saying now is new to science fiction. Nothing they're saying is new to science fiction. Literally nothing. You want pro-gay, you want pro-minority, you want any of that shit, it's always been there.
I think that's the point, though. They never were fans of science fiction, therefore they never saw that, so they expect to come in and add it like it's some kind of new thing and make it sound like it's progressive, despite the fact that science fiction has been doing it for years.
Dude, back in part of the 80s, I remember gay characters in C.J. Sherry's work. Oh, what? Another female author. Whoops. These people probably don't even know who C.J. Sherry is, knowing what idiots they are. She's a master. And she had gay characters and female characters and all that. Hell, it goes
even earlier than that. In the
Andre
60s.
Norton.
In the 60s with Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek, they had an interracial kiss between Kirk and Uhura, Nichelle Nichols and Shatner.
In the 1960s and 70s, two of the best-selling science fiction authors working were Anne McCaffrey and Andre Norton. By the way, not a lot of people know Andre Norton's a woman, but she was. What are they talking about? Seriously. In fact, I encountered my first gay character in a science fiction novel. Thank you very much. And
not just that. I'll point to a couple more examples in the original Star Trek. The fact that Nichelle Nichols played Uhura, who was the chief communications officer on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. She had a position of power, and she was a black woman. Then you have George Takei playing Ensign Sulu, which was just, 15 or 20 years after the internment camps.
Yep, I do know that
a Japanese, are you kidding me? Just coming off the heels of a massive anti-Japanese propaganda campaign, are you telling me that in the future a Japanese person
will be allowed
is
to be
going
an
to be
officer on the bridge?
Operating the entire ship? He's the pilot? Really?
And got left in command
a little bit further. Yeah, I was going to say, let's go a little bit further. Not only was Sulu put in command a few times, he had his own command later on in the movies.
Hell, he was left in command of the Enterprise in the original series at least once. Nichelle Nichols, who plays Uhura, Martin Luther King Jr. personally told her to keep that part because she wanted to leave. Martin Luther King personally told her, you can't quit, we need you on that show. And this is 50 years ago, gang. So these guys that are trying to go into science fiction, geekdom, it's like, you know what? I think this may be what nickels the most about them. They aren't bringing a single new idea to the table. Literally, I have heard nothing from this social justice crowd that I haven't heard my whole life.
No, we already did this 50 years ago.
They are behaving as if they're coming in and saying stuff that, by and large, we frequently already agree with. But they're acting like we're stupid savages who've never heard this shit before. And it's so insulting.
the interesting thing here is that these people, they don't understand what the fuck they're doing. And what I mean by this is that when we look collectively at some of the greatest artists of our time, and even of the past, these are not perfect individuals. These are people who have flaws and people who have ideas that you certainly don't agree with or may not agree with. And some of them may be offensive, some of them might have been racist, sexist, you don't know. Or you do know. And people have said, you know what, I don't care because they have contributed larger, they have made a larger contribution to society, to culture as a whole. And so we don't give a shit about their personal politics, we don't care about their personal lives. And the thing about it is now people do. You're not allowed to be the way that artists have been in the past, which is, you know, you can be unconventional, you can have crazy ideas, you can be, you know, really, really weird or offensive. That's not allowed anymore. You can't be that. You need to be this perfect individual who has the perfect politics, who has the right, you know, the right politics, the right thoughts, the right opinions. Do they have any idea what that does to art, to our culture, when you say, we can't have these people now? We can't do this. We can't hold them on their merits of their work.
I think I stopped. I had enough of the Gawker piece, or I realized I'd had enough when the author started attacking Isaac Asimov. Like, you're kidding, right?
Say what?
Oh yeah, she attacked Isaac Asimov. See, you didn't even finish the piece. She attacked Isaac
No,
Asimov.
I didn't finish the
I didn't
piece.
fucking read it. It's Gawker.
It may have.
Read
Yeah, it's in there.
You mean the Guardian? It was the Guardian article, or was it Gawker?
This was in Gawker. This was in Gawker, the one that's in our show notes. This was in Gawker. The author attacks Isaac Asimov. Now, let me tell you something about Isaac Asimov. I've read a good half of his output, which is huge, right? I've written, yeah, most of his science fiction output. I'm very familiar with him. He's a grandmaster. And she tells an awkward story from 50 years ago. I mean, Isaac has been dead for more than 2 decades, I believe. Yeah. But he's one of the founders of the entire thing. And she mentions something that Samuel Delany, another classic Arthur, and an awkwardly somewhat racist, very awkward exchange between Asimov and Delany. And the way she does it is because he's black and gay. And Isaac Asimov once said something sort of awkward to him. But if you know Isaac Asimov, you know he was the quintessential nerd. I mean, he was probably Aspie. I mean, because he was really extreme. He probably qualified as autistic. And you're going to take a story from 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, and have Isaac, there's a racially charged situation, and Isaac makes a joke to try to cut the tension in the room, and it's a bad joke. Okay? It's relayed in there. It's not even that bad a joke, but he's just trying to cut the ice. And he's a nerd and he's socially awkward, so he does it poorly. Now, 40 years later, we're reading about this as if it's the quintessential proof that straight white males have a stranglehold on science fiction. And it's really offensive. I mean, seriously, I wanted to find her and say, bitch, what is your fucking problem? You're taking a quintessential nerd 40 years ago, taking a minor incident where he said something awkward, and you're using it as an indictment against the entire field. Come on. Come on. Sorry, I'll stop ranting.
Well, I can go further back. What is it? Oh, God. The Time Machine. I forgot who wrote that. It's been a while.
H.G. Wells.
Yeah, H.G. Wells. 1800s. I mean, all of his work could be called sexist as fuck nowadays. But he is one of the fathers of this genre. He helped to create it. And, you know, are we to get offended by the fact that back then this stuff was not only acceptable, it was the normal? I mean,
they did the same thing with what's his name? God, can't even. Lovecraft. They're getting on him because he was racist.
Lovecraft. Well,
yeah. So was everyone else at the freaking time.
Lovecraft was racist as fuck. There's just no questioning it. He was very racist, especially against
here's
white
one
people and Jews.
Mark Twain.
Sure. Well, actually, I don't know about Mark Twain.
Well, no, I mean, look at the time period. And he wrote The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which had the word nigger in it more often than, hell, even Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, come on. We got to stop sitting there saying, okay, this is all offensive. This is our history. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And if you look at the social justice warrior direction, it's becoming a repetition of the bad shit that happened in the past.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, you can get into nitty-gritty and specifics, but you have to wonder how isolated is the hug box these people live in? How isolated it is. And why are they so
damn isolated?
And what is so cowardly about them that they will not talk to us? That's the thing. They will not talk to people who disagree with them. Like, dude, what is that thinking? I will literally have a conversation with a communist just to learn how their brain thinks. I'll do it with, I've talked to white supremacists. I think they're nuts, but I will at least talk to them and hear their shit out. These people are terrified to even hear out another opinion, it appears to me.
No, it's because they're dogmatic. It's their way. That's it. It's what they believe is the truth for them, and they want to make it the truth for everybody else. And if anybody disagrees, that's heresy. It's blasphemy. You're going against the great God of social justice, and you will burn in the hell of social justice. It's completely dogmatic from start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You're not allowed to dissent.
I think this is actually
blasphemy.
I think this is, and here's the thought I've had before, and I'm going to go ahead and share it just so y'all can argue with it. This is the problem you atheists are having to face. You thought for years and years and years that dogmatism was caused by religion. And no, it's a human trait that just won't go away. If there's no religion to put it to, they'll find something else. Dogmatism is a human trait, and that's the real problem. That's what I say.
I'm only going to slightly disagree with you on that.
I don't. Hang on. I don't ever remember hearing anybody say that dogmatism is, I guess you call it, it's a product of religion, or it's caused by religion.
I've heard a lot of people say it is.
I always saw it that religion was actually caused by the human, I guess, a human urge for dogmatism. The human urge to explain what's going on, but when you don't have the right answers, like you read in Revelations that the stars can fall out of the sky and that's a sign of the second coming. Well, to write that alone means that you don't really know what those are, but it's a human need to understand the natural world. But it's also, religion itself is caused by our innate urge, our innate urge for dogmatism, for groupthink. And we do have an innate urge for groupthink. We're a very tribal species. We have us and them. That's just something that evolved psychologically when we were still very, very tribal and very tight-knit, small villages and tribes.
So we agree that closed-minded dogmatism is a human trait. Okay, great. Yes. So what is the solution to it then? And I ask you, in all seriousness, if we acknowledge right now that it's not necessarily religion that does it, what do you do to fight it? Go ahead.
Well,
the solution is the truth, plain and simple. The solution is the truth. What we need to do as a species is we need to stop placing higher priority on personal beliefs than we do on what is factually true. We need to value what is true over personal beliefs.
Nope. The solution is take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
I think
can I give my 2 cents on this? And this is something
Go right ahead.
that I've heard discussed before. I think when people look at at the human brain when we think about the way that it works. They say that at least the first religions were really from that the way that our mind is constructed. It sees two things happening, cause and effect, and when it doesn't understand that, when it doesn't understand why certain things happen, it sort of applies agency to other forces. It says, well, why did this lightning strike my house? Well, it must have been something, some greater force that lives inside of the clouds that has decided to curse me for some reason, because right before that I was doing this one specific thing, and I guess that one specific thing angers the gods. And that's the thing. It's us applying agency to things that don't really actually have it. And so it is that idea that we need to place more importance on critical thinking, and have an understanding that there is a tendency within ourselves to form this kind of groupthink, and to be a little more, self-reflective on these things, to realize
this is why I fully support the scientific method, because there are essentially four if you want to count peer review, but there are three main pillars of the scientific method. First, something has to be observable. You have to be able to see it. And then once you see it and you observe it, you go into the second pillar, the second stage, which is experimentation. You take it into the lab and you try to recreate it. And when you successfully recreate it, you go into the third pillar or stage, which is demonstration. You have to be able to demonstrate to others how this observable phenomenon can be recreated in the lab, and that is a possible answer for how it happens. And then you've got the third, which is peer review, and you let others in your field, other people in your field, who know just as much or more than you do in the field, review your research, review your experimentation, your entire methodology, and then you get feedback from them, and you change your thinking based on what feedback they give you. So there's really three fundamental pillars, which is observation, experimentation, demonstration.
Well, I will slightly disagree with you on that, Christian, because even though you have peer review, there are going to be times where you're going to fall into the groupthink hug box if we don't have enough knowledge. I mean, there's another thing we need to start looking at, which is if something completely if something demonstrates that what we know to be true is not true, we need to recognize, hey, maybe we don't know what we're talking about, and rethink things.
That's a lot for people.
Well,
people don't like uncertainty.
I understand that. But what is it? The Coulombic explosion of phosphorus in water and the alkali metals in water. It's finally been proven that we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. But for almost 100 years we knew what was going on. I think maybe we need to start looking at it from a perspective, and this kind of goes into the Buddhist perspective of the difference between the master and the student is the master doesn't necessarily think he knows everything. He's just, when you feel you've gotten to
nothing, he believes many things.
Right. I mean, it's just, and he keeps his mind open to at the level of the student to learn something new.
I'm just amused by the fact with the phosphorus in water explosion, who it was that discovered it and the whole process behind it. Because the videos that they had on that were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, Thunderfoot did a great job on his video for it.
Yeah, and considering he was involved in solving it, I'm just like, wow, that's pretty damn cool.
Oh, yeah.
But wouldn't that be all part of the peer review process? Somebody noticed, hey, something's not entirely right here. I'm going to take this into my lab and see what's actually going on.
Well, I think that comes down to the fact that the original hypothesis on that was based on what they knew at the time. They didn't have the technology to pull off what they did this time. So they've been going with it because at the time the technology didn't allow them to go any further. And that's kind of the thing that happens with science. We all follow a certain way of thinking until it can be proven otherwise, and that's how scientists work.
Well, I think the problem is that you guys are seeing this as a problem. The thing about science is that it is constantly changing with the amount of information that we are able to gather as technology continues to develop. And that's the wonderful thing about science, is that it is constantly changing based upon new information, whereas dogma is unchangeable and rigid.
Wow. Mind blown, right?
Yes.
Science is the truth.
Yeah, science, bitches.
I can't say I agree anymore because there's a lot of what passes for science that just isn't science anymore. But you know what? That's another topic.
Well, if we're talking social science, that's not real science.
I disagree with you severely, and we could have that agreement too. Social science is real science.
There's
problem
quite a bit about social science that is actually valid and it's applicable, but there's also a lot in social sciences that is just pseudoscientific babble.
Subjective.
I agree. You'd just be shocked at how much passes for hard science that is the same thing. But it's another argument. I mean, this is...
How about we move on to
the
a new
whole
topic?
process? We should, but I'm just going to say people's fear of the whole process Jim laid out affects more than just the social sciences. People don't want to rock the boat. But anyway, go ahead. What was the next topic?
Why Gamergate and Vivian James appear in the opening cinematic for Afterlife Empire. And by the way, I just voted yes for this on Steam Greenlight.
Thank you for
Let's talk about that. So Vivian James, and apparently Vivian James is actually a playable character in the game Afterlife Empire. And if you don't know what Afterlife Empire is, it's one of the games that was part of the Fine Young Capitalists Indiegogo sort of campaign / developer competition that they were having. And as it turns out, the game I wanted, Afterlife Empire, the game I voted for, apparently won, and it's the game that's going to be made. It's currently on Steam Greenlight, and Vivian James is a playable character in this game, so you could play as Vivian James. And yeah, so yeah, let's talk about that. How awesome is that?
How do I get in there and vote yes on that?
You have to have a Steam
It's
account.
awesome.
You have to have a
of course
Steam
I have a
account.
Steam.
Go
Well, I do.
to the communities. Go to the Greenlight tab, the Greenlight section of the communities tab. Search for Afterlife Empire, and click on it. And then there will be a big blue button that says yes. Click on it.
I have to make a slight correction. It is not playable character. Vivian James is a character in it.
But not play. Oh, you wrote it wrong, Jim. You fucked up.
Yeah, I fail.
I think she's also one of the skins of the avatar that you can change it to after and unlock.
That may be true. I don't know. It doesn't say in here. It just says the paragraph says, because Gamergate Reddit members and 4chan played such an integral part in driving funds towards the campaign, both groups were able to suggest a character for the game, among other benefits. Ultimately, this led to the Gamergate mascot Vivian James and the Reddit-inspired character Gilda Mars being added into the game as characters.
Well, even so, that's still pretty fucking awesome. And if it is a skin that you could use for the primary character, that's just as good as playing as Vivian James, in my opinion. I mean, that's the character itself is just going to be like this empty fucking box that you project yourself into when you're playing the game, anyways. So I mean, just to have the character look like Vivian James, which is something we created, by the way, collectively, Gamergate. Oh my God. That's just fucking epic, in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah, it really is. And that was just from looking at the screenshots of it. It seems like there are different unlockable skins and stuff that you can have. And that you can pick for as a character.
Well,
let's talk a little bit about the premise of the game. You know what, Jim? Go ahead.
I also voted for the game on Steam Greenlight. It looks like it will be greenlighted. It looks like it's doing very well. and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. The premise of the game is it's basically you have a small house to haunt. The whole point is to scare off people, and as you scare more people, you have the ability to increase the size of the house. Kind of like a Sims thing, but
Well, more like a tower defense game where you essentially have to set up your haunts, sort of like traps that you would set up in a tower defense game, and you have to set them up in like specific rooms. And when somebody enters the room and triggers the haunt, they get scared, or they might not get scared, depending on certain stats that you have. And if they do get scared, you get additional points that you could put towards expanding the house and getting better haunts, bigger haunts, more elaborate haunts.
But you also have to be careful, because if you scare people to death, you can have your house demolished.
Yes, that in my opinion is actually a really, really good new addition to the whole tower defense genre, because now it's not about just doing the best possible job you can. Now it's about doing a good enough job to keep the game going, but if you do too good, there's still a failure state there, because they'll eventually condemn the house and then demolish it, and nobody will be able to go in
I
again.
will slightly disagree with you there, based upon how you said it. You do a good enough job. You can't do a great job, because otherwise the house gets demolished. What is that saying? Is that saying, good enough is, instead of great is, what we should be striving for?
I mean, subjectively speaking, for the purposes of this game, great would actually be good enough, because you're keeping the game going and you're getting more points and you're haunting more people. Doing too good, subjectively, when talking about this game, is actually you're not doing too good, because you're going to end up having the house condemned and then demolished, and so that's a failure state. So if you want to say you do a great job, subjectively speaking, within the confines of this game, it's just scaring them enough to get points, not scaring them to the point where they have a heart attack and die.
It takes a lot of skill.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of cost-benefit analysis that have to be made during your time while playing this game. You have to understand the stats properly. You have to know, okay, what kind of haunt can this person endure? Well, they'll still be scared, but it won't cause them to have a heart attack. I'm sure every single person every single possible NPC will have a certain stat associated with them that says how much they could be scared without dying, and you can't exceed that.
It definitely looks so interesting. I can't wait for this.
Yeah.
I'm actually on the page right now. I
love the
cannot
style.
get a...
Already got it, and I sent it in. It's on the chat.
The characters are very interesting. They almost look like
No, I'm looking to see...
gingerbread men to some extent, because in structure, in the way that the bodies are shaped, are almost like gingerbread men. But you have do you know what I'm talking about? They're sort of flat-ish.
Well, I mean, like the art style of this game, at least some of the screenshots or concept art, it had me worried that this was going to be like a tablet or a mobile game, which to me just means, hey, a whole lot of microtransactions. But the fact that they're putting it on a Steam Greenlight, I mean, honestly, like, I don't care if it's a 2D game. I really don't. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the golden age of gaming was the 16-bit era with the SNES and the Sega Genesis. That was the golden age of gaming. I fucking love 16-bit sprite-based games. I love them. They're just so awesome. So, I mean, it doesn't bother me that the art style. I was just worried that it was going to be one of those tablet games, and it's not. So, there might be microtransactions in the game. I don't know. Hopefully there won't be, because honestly I'm getting sick and tired of that shit.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that no, I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying it looks interesting because I remember I was watching the art process, and they were posting it on a blog, and it's actually really cool.
Well, some of the pictures in there look really cool. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little, well, I can't say a little too much, but a little bit of the Haunted Mansion from Disney.
You know, I'm kind of laughing at the comments on this article itself about it, because there's one guy in there who's just going so stupid. He's claiming that Vivian James is a pro-rape, pro-violence joke.
Obvious troll is obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, though. He's going hardcore trying to prove that he's right, and obviously he has no fucking clue. But, you know, even in the comments on the Steam Greenlight, I'm seeing a lot of people going, ooh, this is a Gamergate game. I don't want anything to do with it. And it's just like, really? You're going to deny women in games because you don't like what their politics are? Wow, that sounds familiar.
I think that goes back to what we were saying about the Hugo Awards. If your politics aren't popular, you're ostracized. You're no longer part of the group, which goes back to tribalism and the fact that, you know, if you don't agree with everybody else, and this is very lizard brain-ish, if you don't agree with everybody, you aren't worth keeping around. And I thought we were supposed to be more progressive than this.
Well, you have to remember something. This is an important thing for everyone to remember. Progressive does not indicate the direction the progress is in. All it indicates is that there is progression. Progression can be in a reverse direction, which is obviously the direction these guys are going.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and by the way, that guy posting in the comments, he's an obvious troll. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Which comment?
Completely obvious, completely idiotic, completely foolish.
Obvious troll is obvious.
Yep.
0 to 10. Was not convinced.
Would not troll again.
We faked. But maybe we should talk about the Doctor Who thing.
Maybe. Honestly, sure. I mean, we could round off the show with it. I'm pretty sure we can get 40 minutes worth of content just out of this topic alone.
My question is she going to die in the episode?
God damn it, no. What'd you get?
No.
Well, we are talking about someone from Game of Thrones. There's chances
Yeah,
are
but
that
it's Arya Stark, though. It's Arya Stark. She
doesn't mean she can't die. I mean, she is a Stark.
Yeah.
She can't.
Yeah, what's
If
the
she's
saying?
a true
What's the-
Stark, if she's a true Stark, she'll make a lot of really bad mistakes that she comes to regret throughout the episode.
Before she
Yeah,
finally dies.
Apparently, yeah, Maisie Williams is set to make a guest appearance on Doctor Who. Me personally, I'm hoping that this sort of turns out into something more, because it was mentioned earlier that, you know, she doesn't want to give up her spot on Game of Thrones. Well, I mean, here's 2 points. 1 point, she can do both at the same time. Who's saying she can't? There are numerous actors out there who work on several projects simultaneously. I mean, just look at Paul Walker. Paul Walker died, but yet he was still working on filming for Furious 7. Same thing happened with Chris Farley. There was a movie about, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a comedy about sort of like exploring, going like from across America and exploring America, and it was all based in like 16th or 17th century. And that movie came out about a year and a half after he had died. He was working on that amidst other projects like Beverly Hills Ninja and the unfortunate sequel to that.
Well, here's
So
where
there's no. So that's point one, though. Point two. Okay. What if Arya does die in Game of Thrones in the upcoming season, and it frees up some time for her to be on Doctor Who and replace Clara, or the character that she's playing in Doctor Who could replace Clara as...
Knowing what I know about what's
companion.
coming up in Game of Thrones, if they did that, they would be really screwing themselves, because there's a lot that happens with her.
Well, no, see, here's the... Well, okay, so she's not going to die, but I one thing I can say to that, though, is that there are examples of stories in which the good guy fails, and yet it's still a great story.
Okay, two things. On your first one, if I remember correctly, Game of Thrones is shot down in New Zealand, that area. Doctor Who is generally shot up in England. I don't think she wants to be doing, going from England to New Zealand.
Actually, it's shot in several locations because New Zealand doesn't have the snowfields for them to do some of the areas.
They also don't have the desert area for
it's shot in multiple locations, and where she's going is going to be a desert area, so she wouldn't be close enough anyway.
Yeah, fair enough, but this is what I'm saying, is it traveling a lot does tend to take its toll on people, and even though she is young, I don't see that happening. Now, as much as I would love to see Jenna Coleman get tossed off the show, get thrown out of the house, whatever you want to call it, and
booted out of the TARDIS?
Booted out of the TARDIS. And as much as I think it would be phenomenal to see, what's her name again? Let me see. Maisie Williams take over that spot, I just don't see it. I really don't.
Well, I'm going to hope anyways, because Maisie Williams is a phenomenal actor. And I honestly would love to see her and this new Doctor that we got with Peter Capaldi.
I think
he's a more serious, and Maisie Williams, her person. If you've seen her in interviews, her personality is she's very goofy, and so I think if she did become the companion, she could bring sort of some of that goofiness to her character, and it would be a nice contrast. So instead of having a goofy Doctor like Matt Smith and a somewhat serious companion like, I don't know, Amy Pond, and yes, she was somewhat serious. She always had that stink eye about her. Having the two characters, the Doctor and the companion, sort of switch those roles and have a goofy companion and a serious Doctor, I think that might bring some freshness that the series needs right now.
I wouldn't mind seeing Alex Kingston come back for a few episodes and make an appearance with Peter Capaldi, because how do we know that she doesn't know him at that point?
Well, we don't. But it's Maisie Williams, so I'm going to back Maisie Williams.
Yeah, Maisie Williams is going to be it's going to be pretty cool.
You know what?
Go ahead,
Dean, you were saying something?
He had a call.
Hey, my apologies. My stupid phone rang. That's not professional at all. To be honest with you, I can't get worked up over this one way or the other. Because she's a British actress, right? One of the things I've noticed is pretty much if you're a working British actor, you're going to make your way to Doctor Who sooner or later. So really, what's the big deal? That would be my thing. She's just going to be in a typical episode because they rotate like all. If you're a working prominent actor in the UK, you are probably going to be asked to be on Doctor Who sooner or later. And that's really probably all this is. But
but let's look at one other. Let's look at one other prominent UK actor that made their way onto the show by the name of. His character's name is Captain Jack Harkness.
Oh.
He was only supposed to be on there for 2 episodes.
Right, and people fell in love with him, and they brought him back.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if that happened. You never know. I mean, it could be lightning in a bottle with Capaldi.
Oh
What's to
God,
stop
I
it?
just thought about that. Capaldi, Mr. Serious, Mr. Straight-Laced, Mr. Not Flirting, and Jack.
Actually, Jack Harkness was so loved that they gave him his own spin-off. It's called Torchwood. Check that out as well. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you'll love Torchwood.
I did.
Yeah, you might even like it if you're not a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah. Well, you'd love it if you
I
are a
liked the
Doctor
whole
Who
season
fan.
where they did about nobody was dying. That was freaking awesome.
Oh, that was the best season.
Yeah, no, Torchwood was a good series. But, you know, we're
Was.
going a long way.
Was.
We're going a long way from a single actor appearing in a single episode of Doctor Who to this is going to change history. This is going to change Doctor Who. This could be like a nothing episode, and she's not that interesting either.
Oh yeah, it could be. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I mean, it might
she's
just be.
she's so
It might just be. Oh,
uninteresting.
she shows up and she has 5 lines in one scene, and then you never fucking see her again.
Well, it could be like that, but the thing about it is that I have a feeling, though, that, you know, anybody who's more interesting than fucking Clara, you know, he was going to leave a mark.
And here's the
Anyone
thing, though,
even
not
remotely more interesting.
not to rag on Jenna Coleman as an actress. I personally think that she is a phenomenal actress. I just think that her character, the character of Clara, is just so poorly written. She's boring, absolutely boring. I respect Jenna Coleman as an actress. I really do. I think she's phenomenal. Just I don't think the writers gave her enough to work with.
I think, though, that when we see Maisie on screen next to Jenna, there's going to be a stark contrast between the two.
Ba-dum-bum.
Get the shotgun.
Fucking funny bastard.
Well, I want to point something out. Yes, Jenna Coleman is a good actress, but the character of Clara is not interesting. I would say that Rachel is far more interesting than Clara.
Trying to say.
In fact, Rachel, I think that if he did not agree that you were more interesting than Clara, you should be allowed to hit him, because you can't get more boring than Clara. I'm sorry, Clara. And this is a tradition now, I think, on Tales from the Infrared. We bash on Jenna Coleman and Clara because she's so fucking boring.
Well, we
No,
don't
bash on
necessarily
Jenna
bash
Coleman.
on Jenna Coleman. We just bash on Clara.
Because Clara sucks.
Well, when she first appeared, there was like so much potential, and you're like, okay, there's a lot of potential here, and then nothing.
No, she just
She never
devolved
really-
into this, like, oh, she's so full of innuendo, and she's so flirty, and everything about her has to be some sort of sexual innuendo, and it's just,
Well,
why?
why?
problem
Here's
is
the thing.
Not sexy.
That's like the most.
Here's
that's
the
the
thing.
most interesting thing about her, though, and and that's boring.
If I may,
Old.
if I may, when it was Matt Smith, it was very well. The chemistry was there, but as soon as Capaldi came in, it just completely broke the chemistry, and the character hasn't evolved at all.
Yeah, it's because Capaldi is just fundamentally such a different doctor than Matt Smith. He's older. He seems more serious. He seems
don't even agree
more
with you
wise. He's not really, sure, he's still a fun doctor. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as fun as Matt Smith. And when you have, Clara constantly making like sexual innuendo towards him, and then he finally snaps and he says, "Listen, Clara, I'm not your boyfriend."
You know what? Here's the thing. I never felt that much sexual chemistry between Matt Smith's doctor and Clara either. I was already in the Clara needs to go camp before Matt Smith left. So I'm not even with you on that one. She's boring, guys. Sorry, she just is. Hey, did we talk about the episode of My Little Pony that's sure to get...
That was the first thing we talked about.
We did. Yeah, that was the
Yes,
first thing we talked
we did
about.
not get a chance to talk about it, so go ahead, Dean. Give us your thoughts.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I stand with the... I totally just forgot
Just
what I
say
was
it.
gonna
You're
say.
a brony.
No, I'm not. I'm an honorary brony. That's what I was trying to say. And because I respect the show, but I don't watch it that religiously, right? I just respect it, and I respect bronies. friendship is magic to all you guys. That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of the show, but I respect it, and I don't have any problem with bronies. And one of the things I notice is that feminists hate bronies. They really hate them.
Yes, they do.
And so good. I'm glad the show's producers are actually going to do something to piss them off. You know what this reminds me of? And it reminds me that these things are so cyclical. One of my favorite cartoons in the 90s was called Powerpuff Girls. And
same creator, if I'm not mistaken.
No, but the creator of the current My Little Pony show did work on Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
She's actually married to the creator.
She's married to Gendy Tartakovsky?
No. Craig McCracken, sorry, was one of the guys who was working on it. Sorry, she's married to Craig McCracken, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, whichever she was, you're right. That was created by Craig McCracken. Sorry, you're right. But anyway, one of the best episodes of the Powerpuff Girls ever made. You should look for it. Was called
the anti-feminist one. Yeah, I mentioned that.
There's
one.
An anti. Yeah, it's called.
I'm oppressed.
Yes, there's a wonderful
different
episode.
one too.
There's a wonderful episode called The Headsuckers Moxie / Equal Fights, and it was made back in the 90s, and it totally rips radical feminists apart, and it's funny as hell. And it sounds like they're just doing this again with this.
Yeah, actually, Faust said that one episode she got the most flack for, all from, of course, social justice warriors. So now she's going to get the flack again because she went right to their heart.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't understand why they would really get as upset about that episode when the message was that, you can't say that you want equality if you're not willing to have the equal outcomes for your actions, as a man would. If you're going to do a crime, then you're going to serve the consequences of that a man would. So yeah. And that was really awesome because basically they were using that girl power mentality to say, oh, give her a pass because she's a woman too, and they were getting very, very angry at men and stuff like that because of that influence. But then it took other women, strong women in their lives, to make them realize that that really wasn't the case. Then you had to talk with them.
So this episode of My Little Pony hasn't even aired yet, right?
No, it has. It's already up. It's a two-parter.
We have it on YouTube.
It's huge, a two-parter. So it's like a two-parter discussing the fallout of like cultural Marxism in a pony village, and they're there to solve the issue. So yeah. But anybody else? Good? Can you hear me?
Well, now I see that it's online. I see it's actually, you can go online and look at it. We linked it in the show notes. I'm going to go out of my way to watch it.
Well, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Like I said earlier, I'm not really a fan of the show either, but I'll watch this episode, this two-parter, just to see what all the hubbub's about. Yeah. And if they go out of the way to really, really make fun of cultural Marxists, I might actually become a fan of the show after all. I don't think I'm going to become a brony, but it'll give me something to watch with my 3-year-old niece who does like the show. So
they actually go out of the way to make fun of Common Core and a few other things such as
really?
That. Yes.
Really? That's funny. So they're
no pony left behind.
Oh my! I'm really gonna have to watch this now. I'm really gonna have to watch this now.
A lot of subtle things going on there, and.
Has anybody ever figured out what the... Now, of course, we know social justice warriors and feminists in general do not really have a core set of principles they stick by, except women and minorities are oppressed. That's the only principle they have. But has anybody ever done a psychological analysis to figure out what it is that feminists and social justice warriors hate about My Little Pony? Why do they hate bronies especially so fucking much? I've never figured it out. Like, I'm not a brony. I accept the title of honorary brony because I respect the show, and I have nothing against bronies. They're my geek pals, and I got nothing against them.
Although, I will say this, and but I'm going to preface this, okay? Little disclaimer. This is absolutely speculation on my part. I have no evidence to support this whatsoever. But if you ask me, I think it might have something to do with the fact that they may fear, feminists and social justice warriors may fear, that the fact that grown men like a show that's targeted towards young girls, that it means that these men are pedophiles.
Well, that's one of the things. Well, that's actually one of the things that they bring up. Another thing is also if you ask Tumblr, they'll say, "Oh, we don't like that they've created porn," when actually a lot of the porn is being created by women fans, adult women fans of the show as well. So it's not really just the men. It's the fact that the
something's on the
internet. There's
and if
also
something's on the internet, somebody's made porn of it. But
exactly
anyway,
they don't understand that. But the thing about it is that there's
Rule
also
34.
Yeah. There's Rule 34. They also don't like the fact that a good portion of the adult fan base, a lot of it came out of memes that started getting created out of 4chan. And there's a great community on 4chan that is still associated with ponies. There's one on 8chan. There's another board called PonyChan where you have a lot of adult fans of the show who talk extensively about things, whether they be sexual or not. And in fact, a good portion of the conversation does not even get sexual. It just talks about cute things. And the thing about the fan base that I've come to understand, and it's one of the reasons I like the show, is that it's sort of a breath of fresh air in adult life. It's sort of you have all of these things that you have to deal with in life, and you're going through all of these problems, and then here's a show they're saying, you know what, all these problems, they're normal. It's fine, and you can do this, and you can handle this, and it sort of cheers you up. It gives you a little bit of a pick-me-up when you're feeling down. A lot of the people who like the show, a lot of the adult male fans of the show, and even the female fans, experience this in their lives. Things are down, things are not positive, there's not nearly enough of a positive media maybe for them, and they just they gravitate towards it. And also there's a good portion of the people who are fans of anime and who are used to things being really, really cute and having a love of that there's definitely a crossover there. But I mean, it's really difficult to pin it down to any one thing.
I actually have a hypothesis on this. Well, my hypothesis is the reason why feminists and social justice warriors actually hate bronies. It's actually multi-tiered. One is feminists have been fighting against the society hates women thing for so long that they actually do hate themselves. And to see a show that actually has some decent representation of female characters, and to see guys actually liking these female representations of characters, even if they are stereotypical, it shows them that guys actually want feminine women. I mean, a lot of guys don't really care if their women are one way or another. It's the fact that they're feminine that guys like, and these feminists and social justice warriors don't like that. There's also
you may be right. Yeah. Go ahead, finish your thought. But I'm thinking you may be right. You may be onto something.
There's also the part of the hypothesis. It's of course men enjoying something. Men have changed so much. We're not masculine anymore. Which, if you notice, feminists are really attracted to the hyper-masculine man, and this is supposed to be feminine, which they've been saying for decades. Men need to soften up a little bit, but the minute men do, it's bad. I mean, no man is purely masculine. For lack of a better way of putting it, it's kind of like the yin and yang of.
In point of fact, I'm going to go ahead and make this generic point. One of the reasons I stopped having anything to do with feminism is because I discovered that, as a rule, they lied. And they said it's all about breaking gender stereotypes, but as soon as a man does, they savage him. And in fact, the entire attack on the brony community strikes me as an attack on, they just hate men. I mean, I don't know, I'm being incoherent. Somebody
Well,
else.
no, I mean that kind of leads into another part of it is that it's men enjoying themselves, which actually breaks the stereotype of the masculine man.
No. I'll go one further. I'll say it's men enjoying themselves without the need to be with a woman to do so.
A woman to supervise.
To approve.
And approve.
And there's also this attitude. There's also this attitude of, women, when they see men like this, who are very nerdy, are very dorky, who enjoy video games, who enjoy porn, who enjoy all of these things, they look at them and they say, he should be doing something. He should be out with a girl. He should be doing all of these different things that benefit women in some way. It's almost like this innate desire in some women feeling like, oh, he's a good for nothing because he's not doing something for a woman, or he's not doing something that would purely bring him ahead. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why there seems to be such a distaste for men who stray from traditional gender roles, because even though these women, they adopt a more alternative lifestyle, whenever they see a man who is enjoying themselves in some way, they say, why isn't he out doing something else? And I've seen that among other women before, and they'll discuss it. They're like, oh, he's just a good for nothing. He doesn't do anything. He just wastes all of his time doing all of these other things, enjoying himself, and so they don't see it as them enjoying themselves or taking a break from their stressful lives. They see it as, oh, if he's got all of this time to himself, he should be using it to do something that I personally feel is more important. That's
in fact, he should be doing something to help women because women are oppressed.
And he should be doing something to help me. He should be.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. He's not helping me in some way. Why isn't he noticing me? Me. It really is that kind of an attitude. So not all women are like this, but there definitely is a specific kind that can't stand to see men having fun, and it's because they are angry and bitter about their lives not panning out the way that they would like. And even though they're doing all the things maybe that they felt would make them happy, they're not feeling any happiness from it. So.
Well, if feminists aren't feeling any happiness from all the things that they think will make them happy, is it possible that feminists are wrong?
That's a good possibility, that maybe all of these things that they say are supposed to make women happy don't actually make women happy. And maybe
I think what that really says is that feminists don't know what they want.
Exactly. They think that they know what they want.
I will point something out that from my time as a pickup artist, and I don't remember what pickup artist told me this, but some pickup artist said, women don't know what they want until a guy takes them to it.
Well, that's PUA thinking, and there's probably some truth to it. Although I don't think it's every woman.
Here's the explanation that he gave, because a lot of people called him on that. It's women are very interesting characters. They often need to be shown that they like something. I mean, you actually almost have to take them by the hand, lead them to what you enjoy, and let them decide whether they like it or not for themselves.
You sexist. You beastly sexist to say such a thing.
Thank you.
Now, actually, I gotta be honest.
Dean,
I found
are you getting aroused by his beastly sexness?
I am. In fact, that whole anal thing may be happening on my end soon. But anyway, no, I think there's something to that. I mean, I don't know. Mind you, I've been turned on to some cool shit by women too, but that does seem to be a real common pattern. Girls who just like doing whatever their guy is doing, and they kind of get into it with him. That seems to be a real common pattern. I don't know if it's everybody, but that does seem to be a common pattern. Oh, my boyfriend's into this. Well, maybe I'll check it out and see if I like it too.
Well, that's actually happened to me with a couple of things. And in fact, a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I ended up finding that I liked from dating somebody that likes the same thing, and I may not have realized that previously, and I was afraid to really try it out. So it was that probably sounds dirty.
Like anal?
No, I'm talking about things like.
But the only problem wrong with that statement from your PUA guru guy is that I've been turned on to all kinds of stuff by chicks in my life. So,
I'm not saying that it doesn't work both ways. And here's my thought on it after all the stuff that I've studied over the years, is that part of the bonding process between men and women is sharing the things that we enjoy with each other and finding what we enjoy. And sharing the things that the other person enjoys, and finding what the commonality is.
Yeah, and you're going to discover. I mean, this is my relationship with my wife, for example. She's turned me on to some stuff, or she's tried to turn me on to some things, and it's just been no, sorry, not going to happen. Like, she's real into horses, and in fact, we own a horse. Believe it or not. It's her horse, not mine, but, he's part of the family. I'm never going to be a horseman. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. On the other hand, TV shows. She's turned me on to some TV shows that I'm like, that was cool as shit. I'm glad you made me watch that. And
the only type of
I dragged her, and we've been watching all the old Batman and Superman animated series together, and she's discovering that she likes it.
The only type of horseman I will ever be is either war, famine, pestilence, or death.
Frankly, I just don't know. I mean, I'm good at riding horses.
I don't know.
I
could be a headless one.
Isn't most of your body your head anyway? That's what I thought.
No.
Okay. But the fact of the matter is, it's hot and wet and stinky out at the barn, and I just don't want to be there. On the other hand, I can watch Superman with her, so there's that. So, anyway, gosh, guys, we've only got a few minutes left. Should we start thinking about rolling?
Wrapping up? You guys want to wrap up, or do you guys want to quickly take over, go through a topic was there any topics we didn't really get to?
Oh,
I don't think there is.
We talked about the Hugo Awards.
No.
Yeah, we talked about X-Files. We talked about...
Any shows we caught up with?
Did we talk about the Crave Online article?
No, what is it?
The what online article?
Crave? I don't even see that in the notes.
Gamergate backlash against outrage culture.
Oh, no, we did not. We missed it.
Okay, yeah, there is a Crave Online. We only got a few minutes. I see it. I haven't had a chance to rate it. It says the Gamergate and the continued backlash against outrage culture. The battle between Gamergaters and social justice warriors is stifling reasoned discussion. Just from the headline alone, all I'm going to say is they are striking a neutral pose that doesn't entirely work. Because while there probably is some truth to the fact that there are some Gamergate people who are just can't let it go and are constantly antagonistic, for the most part, who's been the ones asking for reasoned discussion all along? For the most part, it's been the Gamergate people. So they're positing on Crave Online, they are positing a false dichotomy. I think you take the average Gamergater, not all of them, but the average, there's nothing social justice warriors talk about that most of us wouldn't say, there's some truth to that. Why don't we have a conversation about it? And it's their lack of desire to have a conversation. I don't think anybody's going to disagree. Go ahead, but it's their lack of desire for a conversation, and in fact, their desire to shut down reasoned conversation that created this in the first place. I am going to put 98% of it on the social justice side.
Well,
sorry.
I'm going to agree with you on that, Dean, but I'm going to say it starts with Anita Sarkeesian and the fact that she has been moderating and even blocking and deleting comments since the beginning. And I've said it before, the start of Gamergate was not Zoe Quinn, it was Anita Sarkeesian coming onto the scene and starting with her pop culture criticizing.
Yep.
And not allowing people to sit there and have a reasonable discussion. And anytime you don't allow discussion of both sides, you're stifling creativity, you're stifling critical thinking, you're stifling what has made societies better over decades and centuries.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, whatever else this guy is saying, I don't know. I'm like, who's actually trying to stifle discussion here, and who's trying to have it? And now you have your answer. Because even today, as much as I do agree with you that it's ultimately what Anita Sarkeesian is where this started. No, Gamergate's not about her, but she's injected herself into it, and maybe it's for the best that she did inject herself into it, because I think you can see in the seeds of the press being unwilling to challenge her on any point or express any doubts about any of her claims. This is where this has really begun. That's where this really began. And it's been demonization of nerds ever since. And, whatever. This guy, whoever you are, in Crave Online, who wrote this, or is this just, Paul Tamburo? Well, Paul, try talking to some people on the other side. Your pox on both houses doesn't work for me. Sorry, it just doesn't.
Well, 4 minutes left of the show. I'm going to do my typical round table. I'm going to go around the table, around the room, starting with, you know what, this week I'm going to start with Rachel. I don't think I've ever started with Rachel in the end of the round table. Any
likes being the
final
end.
Thoughts? Final thoughts. Yes.
We need to have an open discussion. I mean, I really don't think we should dismiss people just based on their personal beliefs, base things on the content they produce.
Unless they're women, in which case we hate them.
Yeah.
Jim, I heard you speak up, so I'm going to go to Nephinor.
Oh, gee, thanks. Well, I would just like to say that not the next time we talk, but the time after that, we're going to be hearing something that I've got coming in the works. I'm working on an anti-feminist 3D comic, mature, and I've already got the first page of it done. I want to have at least 6 pages before it goes live, but May 15th is when this is going to be starting up.
I can hardly wait.
I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait. We'll probably have a segment on it just so we can talk to you about it.
Yes. Jim, final thoughts on anything we talk about?
2 things. 1, Rachel likes it in the end. And 2, May 1st, Avengers 2. I am so looking forward to it. And the Scarlet Witch, ooh, I got a hard-on for her.
Dean.
Science fiction is supposed to challenge you guys, and that even means you lefty social justice people. Science fiction is supposed to challenge you too, and challenge your prejudices and challenge your presumptions, and if you can't see that, you're the reactionary element in science fiction, not the people you're attacking. So there you go. That's what I think.
James?
I've got nothing to add.
Okay, thanks, James.
Well, before we get out of here, remember, Tuesday, Mortal Kombat!
Yes. Mortal Kombat X.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, we'll have to see if it's any good first.
My final thoughts, check out Afterlife Empire's Deep Greenlight. It looks like it could actually be a really good game. And also, if you want some laughs at the expense of social justice warriors and authoritarian leftists, check out the My Little Pony 2-part episode, which is linked. In fact, they should both be linked in the description. I guess that's it. Closing out the show. Remember, take the red pill.